അഖിലേശ്വരനല്ലയോ സകല സ്തുതിയും പരമകാരുണ്യവാൻ കരുണാനിധിയേ വിധി പറയും ദിവസത്തിനേകാധിപനേ നിയതമാരാധിപ്പൂ ഞങ്ങളങ്ങയെ മാത്രം സതതം സഹായമായി തീർപ്പതും തിരുമുമ്പിൽ നയിക്കേണം ഞങ്ങളെ നേരായ മാർഗത്തിൽ നിന്നനുഗ്രഹ പാത്രമായോർ തന്മാർഗത്തിൽ അങ്ങയാൽ കോപിക്കപ്പെട്ടോരുടെ വഴിയെല്ലാം സന്മാർഗഭ്രഷ്ടരുത്തൻ വഴിയിലുമല്ല ആനന്ദയാലുവായി ദാക്ഷിണ്യശാലിയായി വാഴുന്നോരീശ്വരൻ തിരുനാമത്തിൽ നിഖില രോഗങ്ങൾക്കുമേഘരക്ഷകനാകും അഖിലേശ്വരനല്ലയോ സകല സ്തുതിയും.
Moving on to our next session, I invite Mrs. Natasha N, IQAC coordinator, to deliver welcome speech.
Good morning to all. I am very privileged to hear for getting an opportunity to welcome the gatherings to this session by our PG Department of Commerce and Management Studies along with various other departments. When we are in the first stage, the challenge faced by the team was to inbuild the contents by coordinating various topics. We put prior effort in maximum for inviting the lecturers from eminent personalities to handling the sessions. We express our sincere gratitude to the research scholars, faculties from social science fraternity and students to keep interest for registering the event. Now I am entering into the duty which insisted on me. On behalf of Sahya Arts and Science College and organizing committee, I would like to welcome our beloved principal, Professor Thomas Matthew Sir, the supporter and instructor who guides our institution into new heights. Welcome, sir. I welcome our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. M.K. Jairaj Sir, Vice Chancellor of Calicut University, to this session. I believe that he is the eminent person who can able to inaugurate this webinar series in the most apt manner. He has over 10 years experience in teaching and research in this current role as in his research. I welcome Jairaj Sir to this function. Next, I would like to welcome the resource person who is acting as a core attention of this event. He is an eminent academician and research advisor with several years of experience in research field. I welcome Dinesh K. Sadekumar sir to this session. Last but not least, the participants make the event more lively. So, I welcome all the participants to this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha Miss. Next, I would like to invite Professor Thomas Matthew, our principal, in order to deliver presidential address. Welcome, sir.
Respected Vice Chancellor of Calicut University, Dr. M.K. Jairaj, the speaker of the day, Dr. Dinesh K. Sadekumar, faculty members from different colleges, research scholars, UG and PG students of Commerce, Management Studies, and the Economics departments, a hearty welcome. We are very happy to announce the conducting of a webinar series in the name IMMERSION 2020, which means the pool of knowledge. As the first step, today we have a seminar on research methodology and data analysis. As everybody knows, the whole world is paralyzed by the pandemic disease COVID-19. Now it is a matter of concern how to run the education system. When there is a need, there is a way and solution. The whole teaching faculty, with a firm determination, decided to close the hurdles and start new methodologies to felicitate the students. When the whole world is going fast, We have no time to waste. It is a race where the fittest will survive. I hope this webinar series will help the students as well as the teaching faculty in their future career. Ladies and gentlemen, regarding the college, Sahya Arts and Science College Wandoor is one of the biggest self-financing colleges in Malappuram district with 8 UG courses and 2 PG courses. The strength of the college is about 1,000 students. The college was started in the year 2013 under the aegis of Sahya Pravasi Cooperative Society Limited. We have got a dedicated team of teachers, of which about 20% are retired teachers from nearby aided colleges with more than 30 years experience. The combined effort of management, teachers and students lead this institution to greater heights. Lastly, I congratulate the whole teaching fraternity for arranging this webinar series in such a magnificent manner. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before entering to our inaugural speech, I request the candidates kindly keep mute your audio and video for the smooth conducting of the webinar. Next, I would like to invite our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. M.K. Jairaj, sir, Vice Chancellor, University of Calicut, to inaugural our session.
Principal of Sahya College, Professor Thomas Matthew, Dr. Dinesh Sadhya Kumar, Resource Person and Principal of IJG Malappuram, Mr. Abdul Razak, Manager of the College, Dr. Sudhaharan, Head of the Department, dear faculty members, participants, students and friends. We are all going through a pandemic period and we are striving hard to contain the COVID-19. At the same time, we are facing the natural calamity and accidents. Let me pay homage to the deceased and convey our heartfelt condolence to the bereaved family. Dear students, this shall too pass. We will overcome this situation. Dawn is very near. Do not lose your hope. Under the new norm, the possibility of conduct of classes is not near, but the teaching community has raised to the occasion. Probably the cancellation of American Physical Society meeting, March 2020, that may be the dramatic cancellation of the seminar. The cancellation occurred just 2 days before the conference, while thousands were flying to the conference site. People raised to the occasion, posting their results in the digital platform. What would have they presented in this conference? Their findings they posted in the digital multimedia. This may be the first webinar. Since then, the webinar has become a new norm. It brings the opportunity for the organizers to bring the experts from various parts of the world, that too with the non-cost. Also, the participants can join the webinar from their own home. Perhaps what we miss in this webinar is the tea break and the informal discussions. I congratulate the Sahya College and faculty for organizing such a wonderful webinar. Regarding the teaching and online classes at this COVID time, in Calicut University, we have 4 centers. One is the IMMERSION, Educational Multimedia Research Center. We have a TV channel, direct to home channel, Swayam Prabha. The students can watch the program on TV using the dish antenna. Please look at the website to how to receive the programs. We have more than 2,000 classes, which will be aired soon. We are also having talk with the ACV channels so that it reaches everyone. University IQAC team has made e-laboratory where the students can do experiments online, choose their equipments, arrange it, extract data, and analyze it. This is available at the present moment for the students within the campus. We are making arrangements so the college students can also get access to this facility. Now the teachers are also being stressed because they are being continuously audited during their online classes. Someone is always looking, they have a feeling that someone is always looking over their shoulders. So how to handle classes without seeing the students, without getting the feedback? This is a big issue. University has a center called Pandit Madan Malaviya National Mission for Teachers and Teaching. We have set up a studio and it will be functional within 3 months. The teachers will be trained for pedagogical teaching. We plan to give the frequent training for teachers. Higher education institutions should be centers of knowledge creation. Hence, research is a must. Research is a word derived from the French rechercher, which means to go about seeking, or in other words, to find the truth. Research can be defined as an activity that involves finding out in more or less systematic way things which you don't know. Research methodology or methodology is a philosophical framework within which the research is conducted or the foundation upon which the research is based. Data analysis is the process of systematically applying statistical or logical techniques to describe and illustrate and evaluate data. Various analytic processes provide a way of drawing intuitive inferences from the data and distinguishing the signal. Distinguishing the signal means that is the phenomena of interest from the noise, which means from the statistical fluctuations present in the data. Research methodology and data analysis has to be learned by all the researchers, irrespective of the discipline, whether they are in the science stream or social science or humanities. And I am sure that these aspects will be discussed in this webinar. I would like to tell the students and teachers an important message. During this pandemic time, utilize your time effectively. Those who are in the beginning stage of their research, it is good time to do a thorough literature review. Think about writing a review article based on your literature review. Those who have progressed in their research activity, take a stock of your findings, do the analysis, model it, use a simulation technique to interpret your results. Those who are towards the end of their career or end of their research career or research work can write your thesis. In this way, utilize your time judiciously. I don't want to prolong more. Wishing you all a fruitful discussion and deliberation. I congratulate the organizers for organizing a webinar on an appropriate topic. With all your permission, I declare the webinar on research methodology and data analysis inaugurated. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Before introducing our resource person to the stream, I would like to summarize a few words about our college. Sahya Arts and Science College was established in the year 2012 with its headquarters at Wandoor under Societies Act. Our college aims to provide local education to young generation with the help of skilled, competent and qualified staff support who have track a record of meritorious accomplishment in their credit. Ours, PG Department of Commerce and Management Studies in Sahya Arts and Science College in association with IQAC of the college is very happy to introduce our national webinar series, Immersion 2020. The national webinar series will be scheduled from 17th August 2020 to September 17th, 2020. Let me wave a light towards the forthcoming episodes. Today, episode 1 deals with research methodology and data analysis, chaired by Dr. Dinesh K. Sadegumar, research advisor. On 21st 8, 2020, episode 2 by Department of CA under Commerce and Management Studies in the topic Nudging Daily Life. The resource person, Dr. Vineet KM, Assistant Professor and Research Supervisor, PG Department of Commerce, Government College, Tripunithura, Ernakulam. Let me request you once more, candidates, those who are logging, kindly mute your audio and video. Episode number 3. In PG Department of Commerce and Management Studies, under Finance, on 22nd 8, 2020, disruption that COVID-19 would create in GST. The session will be chaired by our resource person, Assistant Professor and Head of the Department, Research and PG Department of Commerce, Pavanatma College, Murikashiri. Episode number 4. On 26/8, 2020, on the topic e-filling of income tax return, our resource person, Dr. Abbas Patoli, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Management Studies, Amal College of Advanced Studies, Nilambur. Episode number 5, on 7th 9, 2020, on the topic socio-economic impact of lockdown of Kerala economy. Resource person, Dr. P. Naufal, Head of the Department on Department of Economics from Dr. B. R. Ambedkar Memorial College, Balasheri, Kozhikode. Episode number 6, Department of Chemistry organizes a webinar on the topic Ozone Day Observation. Our resource person, Dr. Meharani Minat, Assistant Professor, BGMMES, Mumbai College. Episode number 6, from the Department of Psychology. I'm introducing the topic Intimate Partner Violence, an overview. Resource person, Shyam Ravindran, Clinical Psychologist, on 5th September 2020. Moving to our core attraction of the event. On the talk on research methodology and data analysis, I invite Dr. Dinesh K. Sadegumar sir to handle the session.
Hopefully, am I audible to everyone? Can I just get an answer in the chat box, please? Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so as the respected Vice Chancellor and the respected Principal of your college have told, we would be actually going ahead with a small presentation on the research methodology here. Now I see there are a lot of participants, more than 150 participants here. So we'll go move on with the presentation. So I'm just starting my slides now. So let me just share my screen. Okay. Okay, are you able to see my slide now? Cool. Okay. Now, here's a small introduction about myself. The Sahya team has actually told a lot of introduction about myself, but I'll just add on a few things about me here. Now, I started my professional life as a teacher here, and basically turned into a position where I understood everything this world can be improved with, researched, or improvised with circumstances. Okay, and basically, I'm an average Indian who would actually worry about tomorrow, knowing that I've got a lot of things to do today. So this is a basic idea of all the Indians. So I belong to a basic Indian family. So this is how I work out in things. So basically, this session that was handed over to me, and one major challenge I always face here is with regard to an online teaching, because I'm a traditional kind of teacher and online teaching is actually quite risky for me. So I would possibly start with interacting with you. So keep your chat boxes active because I would like to see your answers here. Okay. So there'll be possible a lot of interaction. We'll be discussing on a lot of things to each other. Now, contents. With regard to the contents, we will not go with any specific agenda, as I've mentioned here. I will not be going or focusing on specific topic. I will not be giving you ideas on anything. This will be purely an experience sharing, wherein I would be giving you few gists of my past experiences with regard to research and data analysis. Okay, and anytime you have any questions or doubt, just put your questions in the chat box. Possibly I'll be able to answer it maybe in between the session or at the end of the session. So that is one thing that is important. So as I told you, I would definitely request your complete attention towards the session. That is something very much important that I would actually require. Now, I'll be actually starting this activity with a small game. So let me actually see how good you actually are in listening to a webinar. We'll be starting with a small game. It's a method of research also. It's called top of the mind test. Okay. Actually, whatever comes to your mind first, that you have to actually answer here. Okay. So people can possibly unmute and just tell me the answer very quickly, whatever you feel, whatever you see here, you can actually unmute and tell me what is there. Okay. So I'll give you an example. So this will be two images. Are you able to see my screen now? Yeah. Okay. Now on my screen are two images. I will just put in two images. Just tell me what is the first product that would actually come to your mind. You can 5-star. Okay, 5-star what? You have 5-star hotels. You have 5-star chocolates. You have
Chocolate.
chocolate is the first thing chocolate is the first thing that is actually coming to your mind. So this is the game that we are actually going to play. So get your chat boxes ready. I want everybody of you to actually type in the answer for the next images. So the solution for this was obviously 5-star. So keep your chat boxes ready. Let's see how you type. Okay. Now this is the next image. Can you tell me what can you relate this to? Okay, there are tons of answers coming. Very interesting. Okay. You have 7-Up, you have Dhoni, you have again 7-Up, Dhoni. Right. A lot of 7 up there. Fine. Okay, but the answer is actually Dhoni. The reason is the jersey number of Dhoni is actually 7, and the helicopter refers to the helicopter shot that is actually shown there. Okay, now we'll go for the next image. Are you able to see my screen? Okay, this is the next image. Now, obviously, the solution would be gravitational force because I'm not taking much of your time here. I just wanted to actually think about a few things that is running through my mind now. So, Newton and Apple possibly would give you gravitational force. Now, you could have actually seen gravitational force by Newton there. Now, what is gravitational force? If I basically ask you this particular question, what do you actually mean by gravitational force? Can you just give me an answer there in the chat box, please? Ability of the Earth to pull objects, yes. Okay, what else? Attract to the objects. Okay. Attraction of objects. Okay. Magnetic force of the Earth. Fine. Great. Universal force. Okay. Okay. Okay, fine. Great. I think all of you have a good knowledge of science here, but I'll be just showing a small experiment with regard to something that is actually into a serious business. Okay, if you're able to see my camera, can anybody tell me what this is in my hand? There's something in my hand here. So can anybody tell me what is this in my hand?
Bangle.
Bangle, okay. Spiral ring, fine, okay. Bangles, okay, bangle. Many people have actually telling me bangle. Okay, all ladies in the house are spiral ring, fine, okay. Okay, now this particular object, now whatever is in my hand, okay, some people call springy, many names are given to this bangle, rings, spring, many names are given to this particular object. But what happens here is when this object is actually thrown, okay, when it is actually dropped from a height, even Newton's theory is questioned to an extent there. So let's see a basic example of, I think somebody's mic is, I think, Shrija ma'am, can you please mute your mic? Thank you. Okay. Fine. Okay. So here we'll just show you an example of how things work out when this particular stuff is actually thrown from a definite height. I'll be sharing the screen now so you can have a look at it. Hope you're able to see the screen. Now you can just see. Okay, I'll just play it one more time. So basically, what do you actually understand from this particular image, or what did you actually understand? See, did you see a change? The gravity theory that we've actually learned for a very, very long time. Did you actually see a change here from what we actually learned? You can actually give your answer here because I'll be expecting, as I told, this has to be an interactive session because I don't like a one-sided session. So from the traditional concept that we have learned, from the traditional idea of we understanding that every product would possibly fall down, this complete idea has actually changed. Now, what would have been the major reason behind that? Well, I would definitely tell that the physics teacher cheated us. No, it wasn't him. It was Newton who cheated us. So who was the person who's actually cheated us here? Is it the physics teacher or is it Sir Isaac Newton? So this is a big question that comes to our mind. This is a big question that we have to keep answering. So when Newton's was sitting under an apple tree and an apple fell to his head, he found out gravity. But there were situations or there were areas where gravity has been completely redefined. Okay, what did actually happen here? Now, this is what I told you in my introduction. Okay, you can't blame your physics teacher here. You can't blame your Isaac Newton here. We've all reached a position in life where we basically have to understand that the world can be improved with research or improvised with circumstances. When Apple fell into Isaac Newton said, yes, he found out gravity, a very useful invention or a discovery for us. But at the same time, when the same experiment is conducted in different situations, when the same experiment is conducted in different areas, the entire concept or the entire angle of researching is put into place there. So that is where actually you become a researcher on testing things, on finding out new things, on change circumstances, change environment. That is where actually the role of research actually plays here. Okay, now you might be actually thinking that most of us here are commerce people, most of us here are management people. We have hardly anything to do with science and scientific stuff. As far as research is concerned, research has got no subject bars. Research is common for everything. Research is actually entirely a different kind of concept. Okay, so now I'll ask you this question. Why are you actually researching? Why do you actually do the researching part? So many people have this answer. It's because of career, because of future. I have a job in mind. All this is something that many people actually tell me. This is the reason I'm going for a research. This is the reason I'm going to. I'm getting a UGC funded project. I'm getting a funded project from IIM, IIT, all these stuff. I'm getting a funded project from the government. Why are people considering of researching? Okay, so a very common answer that I get is I finished my graduation. I'm currently pursuing my post-graduation. I'll finish my research in next 3 to 4 years, go and sit in a teaching job nicely. Do you actually think that is the basic idea of research? Is that what actually research means? Is research actually concentrated only on teaching or becoming a tutor in a college? So this is one question that I've actually asked myself many times. Why researching? Why do we always research? Okay, so many people tell me it's the future. As I told you, it's the future. My career has to be in the future area. My career has to be in the future angle, all these stuff. Okay. Now, I want you to list at least 6 or 7 careers after research. Career after research that you're actually planning to pursue. Don't tell me that I am looking only to become a professor. Guys, by the time you finish your research, by the time you become a professor, automatically there'll be lakhs of candidates there. So basically, after researching, what next? That is something very important that has to come to your mind. So start thinking. I'll give you a minute's time. Just start thinking and just try to analyze what kind of career are you actually trying to develop. And actually, now it's actually easy for you. You can also Google it, scope for researchers or research scholars after my PhD. Okay, no problem. But at least it will be a learning for you today. So that is one part that we would focus on why are you researching. This is one important angle that you have to focus. If it's just for a career, don't just stick on to be purely into a teaching career. Stick on to something that is actually fruitful for you, so that it helps each other and it helps the society in detail also. So we'll start with one thing. So as I told you, let's start the 2-minute time now. Let me see how many of you are listing out at least 7 careers after your research. Okay, your time starts now. You can just type it in your chat box. I'm just waiting for it. Well, nobody is actually interested to type their career types here. So you have no idea, or are you actually taking your time? I actually don't know. Policy making, marketing, finding out solutions for age-old problems like poverty, MBA, assistant professor, consultancy, professor, postdoctorate fellowship, okay, teaching, data bank analyst, business analyst, assistant professor, professor to get a doctorate, marketing professor, MBA, PhD in microfinance. Yeah. Project works, assistant professor, assistant professor again, teaching, counseling, MBA, research scholar, MBA. Okay. Okay, so you yourself have made this academic research writing, marketing researcher, finance analyst, human resource, education counselor. Wow, Naureen Naufal, that's excellent. I think you've actually done your research here now. You actually, I think, Naureen, you have actually read articles or you've actually gone through the net. So it's actually interesting that you came up with such careers. Yes, definitely. In the future, when you go ahead, it is not only teaching. Ladies and gentlemen, always remember, researching is not only to become a professor or assistant professor. It is basically involved into different areas or different angles. You go to top MNCs, there is a research and development department wherein your expertise would be definitely used. You go to, for example, I represent a college called Institute of Gems and Jewelry. Okay, this is a gem and jewelry institute. But when we do a recent study, especially we'll take a big brand like Malabar Gold or something. Malabar Gold has got a separate research and development division. They actually do research on the new type of ornaments coming, the gold rate fluctuations, and all these angles are taken into consideration. So once you've finished research or a PhD, don't try to stick on only to a teaching career. There are much more career opportunities that is way open to you. And now, as Noreen Naufal has actually mentioned here, academic research writing, marketing research, financial analysis, all these are great opportunities that is going to help you out throughout your career. Okay, so why you're researching is something very much important. So you have to definitely know what and why are you researching. Okay, now we'll be entering into one common stuff. That's just usually something that I talk to research scholars in every meetings. What are the common mistakes then usually research scholars actually do? Okay, the one common mistake is people don't know why are we doing research. People think that I'll do a PhD, I'll get a job. We people tell that I'll do a PhD, I'll go for a teaching job. Okay, now whenever you do a research that is not fruitful to the society, that is actually not going to help you out in any mode. Okay, for example, I'll tell you, we'll definitely have an activity with regard that, but in addition to that, I'll give you a simple logic. You do a research in work life balance. This is one term that is very commonly used between the PhD scholars, between people doing research on HR. Work life balance is something that usually people usually start to do and discuss on, telling that this is one of the most high rated topic and all these stuff. Okay, I'll tell you, there are at least lakhs of researchers that has already been done in this particular field. Okay, if you're doing something new in that, yes, you can definitely find out something new into that. You can push in something new into that. You can definitely go for it. But if you're going towards a traditional approach, never go for a traditional topic that is already being existing or already that you are into doing. Okay, because that is actually not going to add value to you or to the society. Now, your research should be something that actually changes the way or changes the angle that has to completely change the forward scenario that has to come. For example, if you find a research, basically, if your research is telling that how the COVID job opportunities, the many people have lost their job in the pandemic situation, how those job opportunities can be retained. Yes, in the present time, it is the best solution that you can give. Yes, you can find a topic like that and you can do a PhD in that. But at the same time, as I told you, who is going to guide you? Okay, your supervisor. Selecting your supervisor is one of the biggest and challenging tasks. Your supervisor should have a very good knowledge of the latest timely trends. So why and who are very important aspects. The supervisor can actually decide your future. The supervisor can actually help you understand on what to do and what not to do. Supervisor is the person who actually guides you while in a research. If you get a really supportive and really knowledgeable supervisor, I definitely guarantee your PhD would be in extremely one of the best levels. Okay, so that is one thing that you have to actually take care. You have to actually think about it and do well. Now, where are you doing your research? Now, there are different places in India, right from small colleges that have research centers to big universities, to going to the epitome level of Indian School of Business or IIT. All these parts, they have a great ambience for research. But your why and who should have to match with the where part. Just see that if your guide is somewhere in Delhi and you're somewhere sitting in Kerala and doing the research, the communication between you, if it's not proper, it's very difficult. Nowadays, actually, since the Zoom app, then since this Google Meet app, everything has come, the communication between people has actually been very easy and it has been very comfortable between each other. But again, while doing a research, you need the continuous guidance of your research guide along with you. So that has to be one major consideration that has to be taken, one major idea that has to be taken into consideration. Okay. Now, the next most important point is what are you researching? As I told you, the what part and why part go hand in hand. Now, if you have something in your mind to research, just see whether the research has already been done. Has somebody has recently done it? What are his outcomes? That is what we actually call the review of literature. So you have to do a thorough reading of what and how the research has impacted the society. Okay. If it is impacted in any ways, yes, and if you can improve it, definitely 100% yes, you can go for the research. That is one major and important point that you have to actually take into consideration, impacting the society, creating a value for yourself. Next is when. Okay. Now you do a research during the pandemic time, thinking of the job opportunities that I told you earlier. But you do this research maybe 5 years later when this problem is solved. That becomes a problem. nobody cares for it because it has already been over. So timing is one important point on what you're doing or how you're delivering it or how you're giving it out. So these points are something very much, these 5 points are very much important regarding your research. Why, who, where, what, and when. Very simple English terms, but it's going to affect you in your future if you're actually going to your research. Do a self-actualization, do a self-realization like Maslow's theory on all these questions on how this is actually going to affect you in depth. Okay, this is something important that you have to do. Now the last point is then. Now what after research? Okay, as I told you earlier, okay, I'll join a college, I'll become a professor. Okay, many people after PhD, when they join a college, when they become a professor, they become saturated. There is no additional learning there. The kids coming, the next generation kids coming are much more smarter than you. So even if you join a college as a professor, even if you actually go towards becoming, reaching the heights, I was hearing Jairaj sir, the VC, when he actually told this speech, when he used terms like online learning, convenient learning, all these terms like it actually gave me immense happiness because a person of his age and stature is actually going along with the technology. Yes, that is something very much important that we have to possibly learn from people like him. So as time passes by, technology improves. As time passes by, the way you approach your student has to be changing. Many of the people actually think, basically, it's very easy for me to actually handle my students, but I know how difficult it's for me to actually sit here and talk to you without seeing you in front, without seeing your reaction live on face. Okay, because it's very difficult because I'm a traditional teacher, I'm not a modern teacher, because it's very difficult for me without seeing your face, analyzing your reaction. I can't improvise on my teaching areas. Where should I increase the pitch or where should I reduce the pitch? This is something that I have to actually think about it and do. Now, even now, many people who are attending this seminar, okay, many people who are actually into this webinar have actually taken up the screens. Some of them have switched off their cameras, some of them are switching on the cameras. There's been a continuous instruction from the department that you have to switch off your camera, but still cameras are on in certain cases. This actually does not work out in a good research behavior. Research behavior has to be structured and has to be disciplined. That is one important factor that has to be added on this to be this particular point. Okay, now going to the next slide. Okay, now the main area that I'm asked to cover is with regard to data. Okay, now I will not be teaching you data because all of you know what data is. All of you know and actually what is data, how is data collected, what are the methods of data collection, what are the various areas of data, where do you take it, questionnaires, observation, interviews, all these stuff. Okay, I'm going to introduce you to a term called metadata. Many of you who are already into research would possibly know this particular term, what is metadata and all. So I would take a minute's time to introduce you to this particular term. Okay, metadata is actually, it is called the data of data. Okay, the world consists of huge amount of data, a huge amount of data in the sense very huge amount of data. So here what happens here is people come here, people get confused on what actually to pick. So metadata becomes a data of data that gives a basic idea. I can explain this with a simple example that actually is going to help you out. Okay, the simple example is something like this. Okay, now you have a book. Okay, you have a book, a printed book in your hand. Now always what happens is that when you take the reverse side of the back side of the book, you always find a small summary of what is there inside the book. You find who's the author, you find who's the publisher, you find the barcode, you find the price of the book. Okay, the entire book is condensed to one particular sheet. Okay, this particular idea, this particular concept is called metadata. Okay, I can also tell you this. you as an individual. Say, I see many people online. I see many people like Arjun is online. I see Jazz online. I see Akshay online. I see many people online here. So these people have a small card called the Aadhaar card. The Aadhaar card has got your complete details. The Aadhaar card becomes a metadata of you. Your health card becomes your metadata of you. Okay, so basically what happens here is metadata is something that helps us to get data of data. Okay, so as a researcher, in the present day, as a researcher, collecting data is not at all difficult. It's actually very, very easy for us. It's very convenient. It is very easy for us. You can move on with things. You can easily get and collect data. You have Google every time. You have every search engines are there. You have, if you want to collect data, there is one Google sheet that you spread through WhatsApp. It goes, you get the Google data here in Excel format. You get it. Okay, so all these parts are there, but a researcher has this challenge always. The challenge is he does not know what data to collect, what to collect. Okay, so always being a good researcher, focus on the metadata, see what is inside the big data, pick up data from the metadata and then analyze it. Never go towards a fresh data collection. It would possibly take more time. More time in the sense you will lose the when part, as I told you in the previous slide. Next is verifying the data. How do you actually verify the data? 99% of the data nowadays that comes are, what do you say? It's not authentic. It's probably not authentic. Facebook, you put somebody like, for example, a recent idea was the Panchayat next to my hometown is a containment zone. This was one article that came in Facebook. Okay. Actually, there is nothing like that. No containment zone was declared. But when Facebook gives it, there is a viewership of around 28 to 29,000 of people who are actually viewing that, and they are getting panicked there. So verifying the authenticity of the data is something that is very much important, that you have to actually think about it. Okay, if you don't verify the authenticity of the data, that is a biggest crime that you will be doing to your research. Now, how do you actually verify the authenticity of the data? Now, it's very easy. One, taking it from trusted sources. Okay. For example, if you want to actually know a scenario at a particular place, especially India, you can go, you can file an RTI, take it from a trusted source. If you wanted to take it from abroad or US or Middle East, the same procedure applies there. Take it from a government source. Okay. You pay it, you will definitely get it. You don't pay it, it's nothing comes for free. But if you require data or genuine data, people actually ask you to pay for it. Yes, but you pay it to a genuine source, you will definitely get the data. Okay, so metadata is basically a data of data. I think this will be a learning for you. You can actually use this. You can use metadata for your research. Okay, so as I told you, condensed data of a huge data is called metadata, and use that for your research. So this is something important that I wanted to share with you today. As I told you, this is basically an experience share. I am not actually here to actually sit and take a big, huge webinar on this particular topic. Okay. Now, what is data analysis? Okay. This particular definition, you can actually see this definition in Wikipedia, see this definition in data analysis websites and all these stuff. Data analysis is a process of inspecting, cleansing, transforming, modeling data with the goal of discovering useful information, informing conclusions, supporting decision making. Okay, data analysis has multiple facets and approaches, encompassing diverse techniques under a variety of names, and is used to different businesses. Okay, so this is something that is very complicated English. Okay, I'll put it in very simple terms. Very simple terms. Data analysis refers to you have a certain amount of data and you are going to take a decision based on that particular data. Okay, so let's actually try to implement this doing a simple activity. Okay, right here in the chat box, I wanted to know, there are around 218 participants here. Okay, just tell me how many of you have had your breakfast. If you had your breakfast, type yes. If you have not had your breakfast, type no. Okay, let's see. There's one no. Okay. Wow. Okay. Let's go. Let's go. Yes, come on, expecting more answers. It is not 215. It's not even reached 100 yet. Okay. Still going. Okay, good. Okay. Now you have many people you have actually typed your answer yes, and there was around 1 or 2 people who actually typed your answer as no. Okay. Now I'm asking you the next question. Okay. The next question is this. Just type in your age. What is your age? Just type in your age there. Age as a number. Okay, great. Again, I see a lot of answers here. Thank you very much. So now if I'm telling, I have 2 sets of data now. Okay, one is one particular question stating that how many of you had your breakfast. The other question is your age. Okay, now if I relate it both, okay, if I'm planning to relate these 2 data to each other, if I'm actually doing an analysis on this collected data. So the point would be something like this. Sahya College has actually conducted a webinar. Dinesh is handling a webinar. The number of people who actually attended the webinar was somewhere close to, 220 or 215. Okay. Among 220 or 215, basically, the age group was somewhere close to in an average of 25 to 35. Okay, that is one inference that I got. Okay, the second inference that I got is 90 to 95% of people have had their breakfast. Okay, this is the second thing I got. Okay, now just think very well. Which data is actually good for a research? Is it regarding the breakfast or is it regarding the age? You can type the answer there. Very good. Okay, very good. The data with regarding to the age is something that is important for the research, because when Sahya College is conducting a webinar and they have a particular topic with regard to research, they just want to measure that what is the age group of people or the average age of people that is actually who are actually entering the webinar. So that is a very good research that they are trying to do. They're trying to actually find out that how many people in this age group. So possibly 20 to 25 is the average. That is the region they're actually seeing. That is something important. So research in people who are interested in research is something of that particular area. That is what is important there. Regarding breakfast, it is not at all important. Okay, 90% of the researchers in India, what they actually do is they just create variables. They create variables to interrelate among stuff. Okay, This just to do a t-test, just to do a z-test, just to do a chi-square test, they create extraordinary variables, okay, just like the breakfast variables. So for a good research, you have to actually choose your variables intelligently, okay? Choose your variables very intelligently. Do a research that is actually helping you out on the various angles. Do a research that is actually helping you out effectively. Don't ever jump into conclusions. There might be people who always think that your primary objective is there. Where is your secondary objective? Just for the sake of creating a secondary objective, do not create a secondary objective. See that your research is actually impacting a real-time cause or the real-time society that is actually helping you out in giving you a solution. Okay, now as I told you, we did a very simple example here, like it was regarding your age and breakfast. Okay, now we can actually have one more important idea here. Okay, we can actually, I'm just trying to work out on how things can work out smoothly in a research, especially with regard to data. Okay, uh, can the BBA department please tell me that what is the approximate registrations that you had got earlier for the seminar? Hello? Yeah, we have got a registration of 425. Okay, so we'll round it off somewhere close to 500. So you can see the number of participants. Okay, number of participants is 216. Okay, among this 216, if I'm not wrong, there were around 10 to 50 people who had actually come in and then they've actually gone out. Okay, there was another ratio there. Now, what is the time when this happened? That particular statistics is important. Why did the percentage of like when close to 425 have registered, exactly the half of it has participated? So the participation level is 50. So next time and onwards, when we are actually conducting an online program, the expected participation level would be 50. This is actually a research. We actually use this data and try to understand what we have to do in future. So that's how your actual research impacts. Now this particular research would actually help the coordinators of the Sahya college to analyze, okay, fine, we get 1000 entries, we can expect 500 participants for sure. We get 2000 entries, we can expect 1000 participants for sure. Okay, so that is one angle they can work out. At the same time, this is Dinesh here, nobody knows me. Okay, I am also a factor here. I am also a variable here. Nobody knows me as a lecturer or nobody knows me as a researcher. On the other hand, if this webinar is done by Shashi Tharoor, if there is 425 registrations, I would definitely tell there will be around 900 people who are entering. So I am also a variable here. Okay. So what happens is here, choose your variables intelligently. Choose your dependent variable and independent variable intelligently. This is something very important for every research that you actually conduct. Okay. There can be many situations, many ideas. Maybe if it is raining outside, that is a factor. How? The connectivity issue, the internet issue, all these stuff. You can add on things like that. So think intelligently while doing a research. Do not simply put in questions. Do not simply add in data. Do not add in additional points just for the sake of adding it. Okay. So what you actually do is you improvise. You actually see what data is useful and then do it. Okay. We'll go to the next slide. Okay. Now, as I told you in the slide, a picture is worth than 1,000 words. Okay. This is a very old proverb. Rather than writing a huge set of article, you have an area where you can actually use something called infographics. Now, what is infographics? Okay, infographics is nothing. It is a tool that is available online, that is available in, say, MS Excel. Whatever data you type, do it in a graphical format with informations put in there. Okay, the main reason here is, main advantage here is, I'll tell you, people understand infographics much more faster. For example, human mind from the traditional aspect, from the tribal aspect, from the what you say Darwin's theory of evolution, we've been communicating using diagrams. Okay, our brain, for our brain, it is easy to analyze diagrams, easy to decode diagrams, rather than complex tabulated data. For us to understand the diagrams, it is much more easy. So this is an era of infographics. Nowadays, you go to any showroom, you go to any shop, you go to any advertisement or everything, they would give you a maximum idea with the help of graphs. They'll give you pie charts, they'll give you bar charts, they'll be very creative statistical figures, statistical ideas. So that is something very, very important that people actually follow and people actually go through it. So infographics is something that you have to inculcate in your researching habit. Okay, that is going to help you also, because inferring from a graph is much more easy than inferring from a table. So, sorry. So just try to use infographics. Just try to use graphical images. Just try to use it completely. Make it very colorful. Make it beautiful. It will look much more attractive. So that's how you present your data. Now you might ask me like, how do I do it? Okay. So you have to know a few softwares. Okay. Now you ask me, sir, can you help me with some of these softwares? I would very easily are self-learnable. Okay, these softwares are self-learnable, and YouTube has tutorial of all these softwares. Okay, the first and foremost software, I have not mentioned this software here. It is called MS Excel. Okay, every researcher must be very much competent with MS Excel. You have to actually have very good data typing skills, data copying skills, pasting skills, analyzing skills. 85% of your analysis part is covered in Excel itself. Okay, only I think Archana, you can pin my screen, please. Then you'll be able to see the screen. Others, can you see my screen? Right. Thank you. Okay. Now here, what happens is knowing your software becomes very important. As I told you, MS Excel, Microsoft Excel is a beautiful tool. It's a wonderful tool. You have tons of formulas there, tons of tabulations there, tons of calculation there. As I told you earlier, infographics, graphs, everything you will be able to do it directly from Excel itself, Microsoft Excel. Okay, that's the platform that you have to actually learn. Being a researcher, you don't know Excel, then you're a big failure. So I would definitely tell being a researcher, you go forward towards Excel, start your basics by understanding Excel. Okay, now the next is SPSS. SPSS is a very famous tool. All the researchers use this tool because every statistical test, every statistical ideas are actually run in this particular tool. So you can use this tool. SPSS is a very effective tool. PSPP is a similar tool like SPSS. SSP is a different tool. SOFA, it's not SOFA, it's SOFA. So basically that's a tool. MOS is a tool. PASS is a tool. So look at your research and try to know what kind of researching tool are you going to use. For example, as I told you, just for the sake of increasing your variables, just for the sake of increasing your secondary objectives, just for the sake of actually having a lot of objectives and lot of tabulations, lot of calculations, have meaningful small calculations that people can understand. Give them an output that is actually impacting the society, that is actually addressing a major problem. Research basically is done to address a major problem. So your solution should be actually addressing a major problem. Okay. For example, I can tell you, you can do a big research, you can have chi-square test and all this stuff, and you have a conclusion that 7.5% of A is not dependent on B. So A has to be independent. That's not a solution. You have to actually understand what A and B is, how A is impacting B. Now, how if A is independent, how to make B totally away from A. All these points have to be put into your mind. Don't go into a traditional research concept wherein all your Viva or the board members or the digital committee members are also always thinking that where is the chi-square test, where is the t-test, z-test. No, you take the test only if it's necessary, or else don't go for that test. See your data, which data are you going to use, how are you going to relate it, what's the desired outcome of it, what problem are you going to address. All this is interlinked. So when you're using this software, yes, use it completely. Just try to understand what kind of software. And as I told you, all the softwares that I mentioned in the screen has got their own YouTube tutorials. Okay, you can go into YouTube, you can see their tutorials. It's actually very easy. And the most important thing here is, most of these softwares, they use data from Excel. Okay, they can import data from Excel. So one major thing that you have to understand here is, importing data from Excel means you have to know Excel. So as I told you in the beginning itself, know Excel. It is one of the best ever tools that is actually going to help you out. Okay, so being it for people who are approaching for research, being it for people who are actually going for a job ahead, know Excel. Excel is something very much important. So you have to definitely know at least the basic. Don't go to the higher level, at least the basic of Excel, you have to definitely know. Okay, so I'll go for a very simple topic here. It's called the sneak peek of a plagiarism check. I know, like, the basic idea here is people do a lot of copy paste here. Okay, now what is plagiarism? Have anybody thought of it? Now, plagiarism basically refers to one major thing, that is your documented work matching with some other documented work. Okay, this is what plagiarism actually checks. Now, to be very okay, Roshma, is it fine now? You're able to hear me now? Is my voice clear? Others, is it okay? I think, Roshma, it's your network issue, because others are able to hear me now. Okay. So now, with regard to sneak peek on plagiarism, what is plagiarism? Okay. People always talk a lot about plagiarism. Plagiarism is actually means copying from other things, copying from other sites, copying from other documented article, and then comparing it. Okay. Plagiarism is actually done by university just to check on whether your work is unique and your work is yours only, not somebody else's. Okay. Okay. Now the major idea here, okay, the major idea here is, once you do your own research, once you write your own article, there is only very minimal percentage of plagiarism. Okay, there is no big doing of net copy pasting. Once you copy paste something, your plagiarism is going to exist in the entire document. For example, there are certain areas where copy paste is allowed. For example, your review of literature. When you do your review of literature, definitely there will be plagiarism, because you're taking another title, you're taking his inference, you're taking his observation, everything that is there. Okay, that chapter, plagiarism is definitely allowed. That is called review of literature. You're reviewing on somebody else's work. Okay, it is somebody else's work totally. It is not your work. You're reviewing that work. You're giving your suggestions. You're telling that this study has done this way, but my study is going through this way. That is what review of literature actually is mentioning. That will definitely have plagiarism. But when you are doing your own work, when you're writing your own research, plagiarism chances are very much limited. Now, as I told you, plagiarism will definitely come if you're actually doing a copy paste. Once you're writing an article by yourself, no, it will not come. Okay. However, all of us are not very much competent in English. All of us are not very strong in English or something like that. Thinking this concept into mind, understanding that this concept into mind, what we'll actually do is, you can take the help of supporting softwares. Grammarly is a very good software that will actually help you. But once Grammarly is correcting you, just make sure that the meaning is correct. It actually means that this is actually involving you to understand the concept very well. Okay, it is involving your research guide to understanding that concept very well. Because when an automated software is correcting your mistakes, there are there are 100 times of probability that the meaning is entirely changing. Okay, because they would be just replacing the words. So take utmost care of it. Grammarly is a very simple and it's a free software that everybody can use. So that is what I have to tell about the plagiarism. Okay. Now I just want to rush through whatever I just told you. Okay. One thing is regarding researching. Basically, rule number one, researching is know why you're researching. Okay. Know what you are researching, know who's going to guide you, know where you're going to do research.
കിട്ടി മിസ്സേ
Hello. Okay, know what you're researching and try to understand who's guiding you, see the potential of the guide within you, try to understand the time when you're researching, try to see your career ahead, try to plan your career ahead, try to plan your future ahead. Okay, all these points are very much important. Then possibly I gave you an idea of what metadata is. Okay, then possibly we went to possibly check on various softwares that was actually used for statistics. Now finally I'm here talking to you about plagiarism. So this is the topic that I was given to you now. So I would possibly expect questions from you, because as I told, I would like interacting. That is easier for me rather than a one-way talk. So I think I'll just close the session. Okay. Well, this is me as such. This is my number and this is my email ID. Mentioned it here, and you can just be in touch with me for any queries or anything related to research or anything related to training or something. So, anyways, thank you. It was a great session here. So I'm open for questions. So expecting questions. You can either give your questions in the chat box. Okay, you can unmute and ask me directly, no problem.
Thank you, sir, for the session. I request the participants to ask if any doubts in your messenger.
One question that I've actually got here, so I'll just answer this question. Model developing, yes, you can actually go towards it. Can you please? Okay, now model developing can be something that is actually you're actually creating a path on how you're actually going ahead with your research. Many of the universities prescribe their own model. Okay, it is very rare that we are asked to create our model here. But however, if you ask me, it's always good for the researchers and to actually go for this best possible model that is available, that useful for him with the questions that I asked earlier. Okay. Now, with regard to one more question, acceptable plagiarism, yes, acceptable plagiarism, maximum plagiarism is around 20%, not more than 20%. That is maximum. Some universities don't give you that also. That is a major stuff. Oh, I see Nisha ma'am actually telling that plagiarism occurs in the secondary database research. Universities do not accept secondary database researchers. That is one major thing that universities are going through now. Especially finance researchers is basically on secondary data. Now they are actually thinking that based on the secondary data, there should be evolving, some new concept has to be evolved. So that's when they are accepting it. So plagiarism occurs in secondary data, yes, to an extent, but secondary data, don't use secondary data to the maximum. And for the case of finance and accounting related stuff, yes, you have to definitely use secondary data, but no problem. You can still manage to find something new.
Sir, Dinesh sir.
Yes.
Sir, there is one doubt regarding the content analysis.
Okay.
Let me ask you that.
Yeah, can you just elaborate?
Suraj Manikandan is asking that, would you explain content analysis research?
Okay. Actually, Suraj, to be very frank, content analysis research is something very complicated nowadays, but it has been very much simplified by a device called IBM Watson. Okay. IBM Watson is something that when you put somebody's speech, you see, when I actually talk a lot and I write it down as a transcript, when I take that content and put it to IBM Watson would possibly tell you that this guy on this particular statement, he was very good here. He had good confidence. But in statement number 3, he became angry. Statement number 4, he became very emotionally upset. So this is one thing that IBM Watson has started to do. Okay. So content analysis for a textual content, for a image content is already been automated. To be very frank, we don't have any scope in that because machines are doing way more better than us. I think I've answered. Hello.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I think the doubts from the participants have been finished regarding the session.
Right.
Okay, let us conclude the session. Actually, I'm very thankful to our speaker, Dinesh sir, because this is our first attempt for hosting a webinar in this college. And we are really blessed to have you in this chair. And we are supposed to mention you one more thing. Your slides are so an extraordinary presentations and so attractive, so that the audible can get a complete framework regarding the research, and the session will be so lively.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to our formal conclusion, I invite Sabita ma'am, our head of the department in charge, for delivering vote of thanks.
Good morning to one and all. I deem it great honor and privilege to deliver vote of thanks on this lecture series. Let me first of all start by giving glory to the Almighty God for this successful session. Let me express my sincere gratitude to our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. M.K. Jairaj Sir, Vice Chancellor, University of Calicut, for inaugurating the entire session by sharing his valuable time. Thank you, Jairaj Sir. My heartfelt thanks to Manager Abdul Razak Sir and Principal Professor Thomas Matthew Sir of Sahya Arts and Science College for providing an opportunity to organize this webinar series Immersion 2020. I would like to thank Dr. Dinesh K. Sadhay Kumar Sir for sharing your precious time and handling the entire session. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I express my gratitude to our beloved HOD, Dr. Sudhakaran sir, for giving his all support throughout the session. Thank you, Sudhakaran sir. Note at last, I am delivering my sincere thanks to the participants from various sectors who made our session a grand success. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sabita Miss. Before concluding our session, National Anthem. जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ चल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जाहे तव शुभ आशीष माहे गाहे तव जय दादा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे जय हे जय हे